I'm Jim Collison and live from the Gallup studios here in Omaha, Nebraska. This is Gallup's Call to Coach, recorded on October 6th, 2017. Call to Coach is a resource for those who want to help others discover and use their strengths. We have Gallup experts and independent strengths coaches share tactics, insights, and strategies to help coaches maximize the talent of individuals, teams, and organizations around the world. If you do have questions, and today it'd be really important if you have questions during this webcast, we do have a chat room available for it. It's right down there below the video window. They're on our live page. You can log in, a login button, bottom left-hand corner. Just choose a login, choose the guest account. Don't create an account, just use the guest function. Put your name in there. That way you don't have to get email from them. Put your name in there, take out the numbers, and hit submit, and you are in our chat room, and we'll be taking questions live during the program. If you're listening to a recorded version or have questions about custom strengths coaching solutions, you can contact us as well. Send us an email, coaching@gallup.com, or use the contact form right there on the live page. And, of course, don't forget to visit the Gallup Strength Center. Just gallupstrengthcenter.com for all your Clifton Strengths coaches, resources, and training needs. You can also catch the video now downloadable and streaming audio, which we just call podcasting. That's available for you as well. All the links to everything we do is available on our resources page on our coaches blog. Just go to coaching.gallup.com. Dean Jones is our host today. Dean's the principal architect of Gallup's global learning and strategy. Dean, always great to have you on Call to Coach, and welcome back.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. This is one of my favorite things to do. So
it's always good to connect with the community. I always enjoy having you on, and this year we kind of committed to having you on more than we've had in the past, and it's always great to catch up with you. We've got some agenda items we want to cover, so we'll start digging in on those. If you have questions, I'll be monitoring the chat room as well. We'll take some of those questions in if it's pertaining to what we're talking about right now. We'll slide those in. If not, we'll push them out towards the end, but we have plenty of time. Dean, we've gone through a pretty major upgrade to our websites, and the Gallup Strength Center has changed. Gallup.com has changed. Not a lot as far as what they were, but some strategies to what we're trying to do with them. Can you spend a little bit of time addressing kind of what we're trying to do and where we're going? And I think one of the big questions is the competition or what we're doing with our coaches, both our independent coaches and our own coaching.
Yeah, no, that's great, Jim. And just as context for everybody, Jim and I were talking yesterday. I had thought about some things I wanted to talk about, but we realized, gosh, there were just so many things happening, right, that we wanted to, including the website, but not limited to the website, that we thought it'd be great to just spend some time just kind of talking about some of those things. So, so many of you noticed in September, we launched the latest edition of Gallup.com, the latest website that we've got. And it was a big change from our prior versions. We called it internally, our code name for it, super creative, was V9 at version 9.
A lot of thinking went in on that one.
And at one point, Jim Clifton, our CEO, sent an email out where it had pictures of every iteration of the website. And he sent it to all the Gallup associates. And it was just, you look back and it's just like home movies, right? It's just like our first website was, I mean, at the time it felt cutting edge, but it's, it's a little scary by today's standards. So anyhow, we're super excited about it. One of the big enhancements on it, and I will tell you is, and you all as coaches have probably run into this, where people predominantly in the past have really known us as a polling company. And so they know our research, they know our polling. That's where we get quoted in the news a lot, at least in the mainstream kind of press. In the business press, I think people have a more sophisticated understanding of the work that we do, and specifically the work we do around creating great workplaces and helping people really understand their strengths like that. And one of the challenges I think always is when people came to our website, the whole homepage of the website was all news, right? And it was all news and research, and what I think is great news and research, right? So our world poll data, presidential approval ratings, great articles on topics of relevancy around the world. So just all this great great writing and great news and great thinking that was right there on our homepage. But it didn't always help people to get a clear sense of the breadth of the work that we do, or what our value was, or how we were positioned as an organization. So probably the biggest thing that we did, and it was a simple change, but a powerful one, was we separated out our homepage for our organization from our homepage for news. Right. So we now, if you go to Gallup.com, what you see is kind of who we are, and it talks about the advice, the analytics, the learning and development that we do, and in the areas that we do it. So there's much, like, one of the things we're very, very excited about with regard to it is we believe that there's a much clearer message in the marketplace about who we are and the work we do and the value we provide across all the different kind of the breadth of work that we do. We still have our kind of homepage for news, which is news.gallup.com. So if you go to news.gallup.com, and we're encouraging people that we're on a regular basis going to that homepage, that news homepage, to bookmark news.gallup.com. That's all still there. And in fact, one of the cool things we're doing is we're making a concerted effort to create more content that is workplace-oriented content. So more things, more writing and more articles and more research about the impact in the workplace, the impact relative to strengths, the impact relative to engagement, the work we're doing around performance management. So just lots of great stuff there. So that's probably the biggest change. The other thing that we did was, as you know, was to really reshape everything that we do around CliftonStrengths. So we moved from Gallup Strength Center to kind of CliftonStrengths, and making sure that that was clear. And as part of that, we have a page dedicated literally to people that want coaching. So if people ask the question, hey, what kind of coaching can I get? And on that page, we've tried to, on a side-by-side basis, put the coaching that we sell directly to organizations with the access to Gallup certified coaches. And that's where you'll see now is the coaches directory. So one of the things we tried to do there, and what's cool about that, and what I think is particularly powerful, is I think sometimes in the old site, we were trying to serve many masters. And I remember when we were doing the first meetings on that site many years ago, 2011, 2012, one of the big concerns we had was, gosh, there's lots of different kinds of people that are coming to the site. There's managers inside organizations. There's people that want to be coaches. There's people that just want to find out about their own strengths. There's all these different audiences that were coming in. And one of the cool things we did now in reinventing Gallup Strength Center and reinventing it inside of CliftonStrengths is that we've kind of started to parse out those different audiences. So you see a clear message around that. One of the things with regard to the coaching piece, and this is, I think, part of the powerful part of that is we always, I think for many of you that have gone through our coaching courses, it was really based on the coaching work that we've done with clients. So we've always been doing that. We've been doing that for decades, offering strengths coaching. The thing that I think is, I mean, it's horrible that it strikes me as funny, but I think it's now we're more transparent about it. People can actually find it now. So it's been living on our courses.gallup.com page that people could go sign up for coaching. It's been there for years. But I think it was a little buried, so people couldn't actually find it. So now one of the cool things is people can actually find it, and they actually see it, and it's a place where it makes sense and people have access to it, right? The other thing that you'll start to see, and by the way, as we're going to continue to kind of augment that, there's already some tweaks that we know we want to make to that page to make it a little stronger and make sure it's a little more balanced in terms of the coaching that we offer directly and the coaching that we offer through certified strengths coaches, right? And there's some stuff that, like all new websites, there's some tweaks. We've gotten some great feedback. We've got plenty of feedback from coaches, which has been great. And obviously we're way open to that feedback. So we don't promise we're going to do everything, but we want to know kind of what we want to make sure that we're hearing from everybody, because a lot of our best ideas about how to make that page work and how to address it have really come from strengths coaches saying, hey, what if you did this? right? And so like that. One of the cool benefits, I think, for coaches, there's a concern, I think, sometimes, and I've heard this on the Yammer site. I've gotten some emails directly from coaches, which is great. And then just people that I've run into, some messages on LinkedIn. I've gotten them in a bunch of different places. Is, gosh, we now see how you're pricing things. We now see what packages you offer. We now see how you go to market around that. And for some people, it's like, hey, that's a problem, right? I hope that that's a benefit for you, because I think in some ways, the kind of questions we get a lot from coaches is, how should I price the work that I do? How should I package the work that I do, right? And so having kind of a template of how we've chosen to do that, I don't think, by the way, how we've chosen to do it is right or perfect. It's based on our experience, and it's based on the kinds of people that the mostly large enterprises that tend to buy coaching from us, right? And so, but I think it's kind of cool for you all that you can see exactly the packages that we offer, and you can see exactly how we price that. And I think one of the things in the one-on-one conversations I've had with independent coaches is to be able to say, gosh, I think you have a choice to make, to be able to say, hey, look, I offer something that's differentiated. I'm going to package it a little different and price it a little different, and in some cases, by offering more value, you may say, hey, I'm going to charge a little bit more than Gallup does, because I feel like I'm offering something that's a differentiated product, right? I have expertise in healthcare, for instance, and I bring that expertise to the coaching work that I do. Or I think about my friend Maureen, right? I have expertise and a background working with teams. And so I'm going to package it a little differently and offer it a little differently. So I think it gives you an opportunity to be able to have kind of what I would consider kind of a stalking horse, right? Or a straw model to say, hey, this is how Gallup has chosen to do that. And you've got clear access and great transparency around that. And you can make the choice, I think, then to be able to say, how are you, based on your expertise and what you like to do, going to package and price your offerings, right? And I don't know that you shouldn't take our version of it as it's not one size fits all. It's what works for us relative to the enterprises that we do coaching with, and you should do the thing that works for you, I think, around that.
So Dean, you're saying it's okay, and this is the question, to either undercut that. You're right. Like the number in the top 5 questions I get, it's about pricing.
Yeah.
And so now we've kind of put that out there, been very transparent about it. I think we're going to clarify some of those offerings a little bit too coming up, so that it's more visible on the site. But it's okay to go low or go high, right? With us, coaches could, because they can add value. There's some things that we do where our packages are over the phone, or they're right, it's including those very standard packaging, and coaches can continue to add value to their own coaching and set the price where they want to, right?
And you'll see, like, typically, as we look at the coaching market, right? And we look at the coaching market all the time, and we try to make sure that we're doing the right kind of competitive analysis. We've got enough of a finger on the pulse that we can say we've got it. We know that the sweet spot for most coaching is, roughly speaking, between $200 and $400 US. Right? That's really the sweet spot of where a lot of coaching happens. And if you look at the way that we price stuff, we price stuff basically in that margin, right? Most of our executive coaching starts really at roughly about 500 and it can go up to, depending on how we bundle it, up to $1,000 or $1,300 a session, right? So that's kind of that's the range of it. And that doesn't mean that you should price your stuff that way. We do the vast majority of our coaching we do over the phone, and we kind of match the coach with our client. You may be offering coaching that's differentiated in a particular way, and I think you got to look to say, where's your value proposition? There is plenty. The coaching industry is big enough, right? So it's not like there's a finite amount of coaching that is available. There are more and more and more people that want coaching. And as we've seen, if you look at, I like to go back and remember that, in 2010 and 2011, when we first started selling access to Clifton Strengths online, there were 8 million people that had done strengths. Now there's over 17 million people that have done Clifton Strengths. So in that period of the last, roughly speaking, 6 years, we've more than doubled the number of people who've taken Clifton Strengths. We're also, roughly speaking, at about 2 million people a year that are doing Clifton Strengths. So our ramp continues to increase. So 2 million people a year we know that all those people are going to need coaching. So that's really, and that is just, we're not hiring coaches, right? So all that coaching that is available, all those people that have done Clifton Strengths, the market for that really is through the independent coaches that are out there and the organizational coaches that are out there. So that's really the place that you want to focus, right? And so I know that I know it's a sensitive issue for people, and I know that they feel like in some cases that they've got to compete with us, but they don't. What I want to make sure is gosh, there is plenty of coaching work to go around. And there's stuff where people come to us and say, hey, we want coaching, but we want it done in this particular way, or we want a coach that's local to us, or we want a coach that's got expertise in a particular area, where we just say, gosh, it's just not, you should look at our coaches directory, because that's just either not what we do, or we don't have somebody locally there, or that you'd be better served by working with somebody who's going to create a custom coaching program for you. And so like that. So that's it. Jim, I know there's people posting in chat. Would love to, if there's other questions here.
Yeah. Let me address this, because Debbie brought this up in our Yammer group.
Great.
And Florence kind of reiterated it here as well. And this is kind of where the discussion has been.
Yeah.
Is kind of around this idea of kind of undercutting, or that the assumption is that people will always choose Gallup coaching before they choose coaches coaching. And so can you talk a little bit in what we've seen in the numbers, kind of what we've seen and what we typically do in that range? And then can you talk about the difference, this debrief, I think, where this, can you kind of talk about what we do there and how that works, and kind of address that?
Yeah, let me talk about that Clifton. Some people refer to it as a debrief. We call it a Clifton Strengths feedback session, right? So it's 1 hour of helping people to understand their strengths profile. So it's just the very entry-level version of kind of name it, claim it, and name it. Part of what we are intending for that is that everybody gets a touch point with a coach that does Clifton Strengths, and that people have that available to them. And we've been doing those literally for decades. So that's not anything new. I know sometimes people perceive it as new, but I think it's just we've talked about it for forever. It's something that I think that, in my opinion, every coach ought to offer as sort of an entry-level session. It really does straddle the line between coaching and consulting. So while it's developmental in nature, a lot of it is just helping people understand the basics of their strengths profile, and so that people really understand, gosh, what is the basics of the strengths profile? They understand what we mean by strengths. They can think through and typically it's people that are I have all 34s. They can think through what are the talent themes that are at the top, that are really their signature themes. What are the ones that are more responsive in nature, that fire occasionally, and what are the things at the bottom of their profile, right? And really get them started to be able to have some basic understanding, some basic appreciation around it, and then be able to kind of point those themes at things that are important to them. So it's really an entry-level call, right? It's not developmental in nature. And it's not developmental in nature. So it's something where it's designed to, as being an ongoing conversation. It's really designed to be a one-time call. What often happens out of that is that people, after having that feedback session, people will say, hey, look, I'd like to have an ongoing call, right? And I would say not everybody does that. I think it's something that all strengths coaches should be able to do, right? I think it's something that should be a starting point for people. And when you do team sessions with people, that you should offer that everybody's got that kind of one-on-one touch point. I think that's going to be super important for people, and will be the basis then for, if somebody wants it and thinks that it's important, to have that ongoing kind of coaching relationship. Again, there's only so much you can cover in an hour. So I think that's a piece where you've got to, we barely scratch the surface in terms of getting somebody set up there, right? Our intent, by the way, and as we priced it, one of the things that when we did the research around it, one of the things that we looked at is we wanted to make sure that it was priced in a way that it was competitive for organizations, where it felt like it was something that it didn't feel like they could only do with a very small subset of people, that they felt like they could do it with all the managers and directors and leaders in an organization. So it was competitive enough that was there, right? And again, it should be, I think, kind of the entry point for then further strengths work that they would either do with us or do with an independent coach. Does that
Dean,
help?
several of the coaches have said that they'd called in a few years ago and was quoted a $500 price to be able to do this.
Yeah.
How does that reconcile with what we're doing today? And there is another offering out there that's significantly more. Can you talk about the difference between those two?
Yeah, I think so.
That's two questions in one. Sorry, answer the.
Yeah. So if you spin the clock back 4 or 5 years, I want to say it was year before last roughly, that we started to adjust our coaching prices, right? Year before last, most of the coaching that we were doing with people, we did price at $500, and mostly we were doing it with senior people inside organizations. So, we were using executive coaches to be able to senior people. We still, when we work with executives, kind of our opening price point for executive coaching is roughly $500. Right. So that's still the work that we do. And a lot of the focus of that work is with executives and senior leaders. So helping them to understand their strengths profile like that. So that's the intent there. One of the things we'd like to do is make this more broadly available. And I hope that people are making it as broadly available as they can. Does that make sense? What was the other question? Sorry.
Well,
I may have lost it.
I might have. Let's talk a little bit about the second. There's actually two offerings there. There's the individual one session coaching and then a multi-session.
Yeah. And one of the things that we do is in a perfect world, coaching really is a developmental conversation that unfolds over time, right? So in a perfect world, we'd love for people to do ongoing coaching. The bulk of the coaching work that we do currently tends to be executive coaching. So that tends to be the bulk of the work that we do. We do coach a lot of managers inside of organizations, but it tends to be more kind of one-off coaching that we do. I think there's a great, again, as we expand the number of organizations that want to be strengths-based organizations, as we expand the breadth of coaching in the marketplace, we really want to make sure that there's plenty of access to coaching in the market, right? And that there's lots of people who are certified around it. Let me go. So Alicia asked a question. It's like, can you articulate Gallup's current perspective on the value, role, and relationship of independent coaches? Is there a shift happening that we should be aware of? There's no shift, right? There's no shift. Right now, we have this great body of certified coaches that we continue to want to grow. Right? We continue to offer, and as we always have, offer coaching inside of our organization. We are not, our intent is not to grow necessarily the number of coaches that we employ directly. Our intent is to grow the body of people in the world that have access to strengths and are receiving coaching, right? We are, as we always have, we are going to continue to offer coaching directly. And we want to make sure that it's competitive for people. We want to make sure it's packaged in a way that's attractive to people. And I think it helps. And we want to continue to grow the body of people that are certified coaches. Part of what we want to be able to do, I think, around this, and I think we've been pretty transparent about this, is that the certification that we offer now is designed to be really the beginning level of helping people really grow as strengths coaches. So we want to make sure that there's this body of people, this great body of people that can offer strengths coaching, that are continuing to refine the work that they do and the skills that they have, right? And so that's part of it. I think as we continue to grow, the body of people that have coaching. I mean, if we're adding 2 million people a year and counting, right? There's just a ton of people out there that need coaching, and so.
Yeah, Dean, let me say this. I think this is a huge misunderstanding about these individuals who come in and take StrengthsFinder through our code base, that and I think this is what we learned through Exchange, is I think we thought we could convert that group to coaching right away. And we just know that just doesn't happen for the most part. That's kind of why we slowed down on Exchange and stopped doing some of those things, because that wasn't a massive conversion rate. There's been some questions about the advertising for it. I sent a note in and said, hey, so since we changed the website, did we sell out? Well, that hasn't been true at all. Right?
No.
We know that coaching and coaching sales always happens in the context of a relationship. And in a lot of cases, as these coaches, you have relationships with their clients. StrengthsFinder becomes a tool in that relationship with them. I feel like sometimes we're starting with strengths or with StrengthsFinder. Yeah. Like it's if you could just take this assessment, things will be different. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it can change the conversation. What it doesn't change is the relationship that you as a coach have with them. Mm-hmm. We're just not seeing, these huge conversions. So when people think about the 6,000 people that come through every day and take that assessment, very few of them are actually clicking on the links to I need to hire a coach from our site. Yeah. So maybe that's just being too transparent, Dean. Maybe maybe as a Gallup, as a Gallup employee, I shouldn't say that, but we're just not seeing that conversion rate. And so I want to tell people, that's just a stark reality for us. And we want to continue to work on that. We're going to offer that. I think for some of our enterprise clients that we work with, we wanted to make those pricing available on our website for people to see. And we wanted to set kind of a standard for pricing. Hey, this is what we're doing. But I don't, Debbie has said this several times, I don't think people are choosing us over the independent coaches because that's not a typical action that they're doing. There may be 1 or 2 a week or a month who actually follow that process to get there. I don't know, Dean, can you respond to that a little bit?
Yeah, I can talk about it a little bit. I'm watching the chat. I love the questions, and hopefully, I think Jim, you and I are trying to provide the best kind of guidance and feedback for everybody, so it feels like people really understand where we're coming from and what our strategy is and our support for the coaches, right? So, and sorry, I just read Brooke's comment. I'm like, it's called to coach people. So sorry. Here's the thing, and I know it's a heated topic, right? So I don't want to make light of the topic either. So I don't want people to misinterpret that. I do take this seriously, and I do, and I talk to coaches almost every day. So I've got a huge amount of empathy for, hey, like, given that, as weird as it sounds, this isn't an abrupt change. I think there's just, the website just gave us more transparency around it, right? And I think that's hard. I think it's interesting when you go back to the days when we were talking about doing a Gallup Exchange, when we did that beta test for Gallup Exchange, a lot of the conversation I was hearing from coaches and that people were talking about was giving away the first session free. And I will tell you that this is my personal opinion. This is not my recommendation or business advice. I don't ever like to give away free stuff, right? So I don't think that's a great way of doing it, right? Now, some of you all may say, Dean, you're completely wrong. I do that all the time and it works perfect for me. And so, and you should do what works for you, right? But I'm just not a big fan of the giving away free stuff. I feel like people don't value what they don't pay for. I think that having an entry-level session with somebody where you give them feedback on their profile and that you charge $200 for it, from my perspective, I think that's the right way to start to build that kind of developmental coaching relationship, right? And I think that for us, the vast majority of the folks that we work with, it's sort of one and done where they do that feedback session and then it doesn't necessarily translate into a developmental relationship, except with some executive relationships that we've got. I think for independent coaches, my personal feedback would be that you've got some entry-level introductory session where you are helping people understand what their profile is, and starting to define their goals for them. That leads then to that ongoing developmental relationship. And so I think in the beginning, I don't agree with, I would tell you, I just don't think it's good business to do that first session free. I know some people do it, and again, it works for them, and more power to you if it does. But I do think you got to have something relative to that first session. That's my stance on that, right? And for us, I will tell you, we don't do that with executive. We charge a lot more. So to do that entry-level session, if we're working with a leader, because the coach, there's a difference in the coach that we assign to do that. We have coaches that specialize in working with executives. We have coaches that work with mid-level people in organizations, right? And we have a range of coaches that work in our organization around this. Somebody asked in here, what about referring those people to certified coaches? That's why on the website that those things are side by side, right? That they're right there next to each other. And so around that, and I think there are refinements we're going to do, but we know that there are some people that would feel more comfortable working with a coach in person, that want somebody whose background that they can vet more, or that they feel like that they click with more. Sometimes it's just chemistry. The other thing that is sometimes they want somebody that has specific experience, whether it's faith-based experience with education, experience in a particular industry, a certain kind of background, and so like that. So I think that's an important piece, right? So hopefully that helps. Sorry, I'm getting distracted listening to Shaq.
No, I think, Dean, I think that's good.
That's useful.
I
What
do
else?
think, well, I think
What else should I address here?
I want to give a little advice on this too, just being kind of the community manager. And I appreciate the comments that we get out there on Facebook and Yammer, but really, guys, for a lot of these really deep conversations, just contact us. And I know I think it's a lot easier. We'll get on the phone with you or have an email conversation. And I know some people have said, well, then the community doesn't know, but we'd love to hear from you, and I'll take a call from you, or just send us an email, and let's get, because it is a complex, complicated conversation, and we are still working on, we're going to provide both opportunities for folks to come in and buy packaged stuff from us. By the way, it's not knocking the doors down at this point, and then they also
diminish it, right?
Yeah, we'll work on that. And then, and we're still committed to the coaches from a learning and a training and an education. Dean, you just said you don't give us stuff away for free, but we actually do give a lot of stuff away for free when we think about to our coaching community and certified coaches. Let's parlay that into the learning series real quick. I know we put that towards the end, but since we're talking about that, let's just make a quick learning series announcement as well.
Yeah. Okay, great. Let me, before I do that, let me just wrap on this, because I want to, to your point, Jim, I think that in some cases I can tell from the comments. I'm going to say two things, and I hope this, I'm going to say something that may get me into trouble, and I hope that I'm going to count on people's generosity in taking it in the spirit in which it's intended. Okay. So there is no scarcity of coaching work, and our strengths community is growing like crazy. And I think part of it is I know I'm not by nature a competitive person. Competition is really low for me, right? So I'm not a person that that thinks that way, right? There's no scarcity of this work, but I know sometimes I get around super competitive people, and it challenges me, I know personally, to get my ego into the value that I provide. And I think that it's hard sometimes when people think, oh man, Gallup's selling this directly, and here I am, an independent coach. And what does that mean? What does that mean for me, right? Does that mean that I'm going to lose every time? Does that mean I can't go up against Gallup, right? And so our relationship should not be that anybody's going up against Gallup. We are going to continue. How we know about coaching and how we learned about what's valuable in the market was by us selling coaching and us doing coaching. And we continue to do that. And we want to do that. And we're going to be transparent about doing that, right? And we want every single one of you, the person sitting in your seat right now to be wildly successful, right? We don't have millions of certified coaches. We have about 4,000 right now, right? We got roughly about 8,000 people that have gone through our curriculum, right? It's between 7 and 8. And so we want every single person to be successful. And part of it is I think, is for you as a coach is really getting your ego into the value that you provide. And I know a lot of you, and I know you are really good, right? And you are really talented, and you have got gifts that some of our coaches don't have, right? And you've got value that our coaches don't have. So I think part of it is you really have to think about what is the value provided and really stand in that and stand for that, because I know how talented you are. And I say this sincerely and with love. I know how talented you are. I know the value you provide. And I know that for most of you, that you will be wildly successful. So I just want you to know that. And we want to support your success, right? And we are going to continue to do our practice of coaching too, right? And there's plenty of room and people for both of those. We got a big world we got to conquer here, right? And we need to do it in partnership together. So yeah, sorry, that was very sincere and hopefully passionate.
Good to hear it from you.
Yeah. And so, and I hope people take it in the spirit it's intended, really, which is one of really commitment and love, right? So we are doing, just to change gears, Jim, we are doing the Gallup Learning Series again this year, right? And so, and I want to talk about that just for a minute. For those of you who are certified coaches, this is a benefit of being certified, right? So we do it every year. We do it for free. We do it only for certified coaches, right? So you have to be a Gallup certified coach to be invited to it, right? It's exclusively for certified coaches. And we do it as a benefit of doing it. And what the Gallup Learning Series is a week of learning that's designed specifically for you, right? And it's all online learning. So we deliver it virtually. We do it. It's a week-long learning. And typically what we do, we've kind of settled in this format that's really worked. We do 7 sessions during the week. So we do 5 sessions during kind of it's US Central Eastern time, right? And then we do 2 evening sessions that are designed specifically to land at the beginning of the day for our friends that are in Asia, right? And so every year we've tried kind of different ways of doing this. Part of what we've done around this is we've really found kind of 2 things. One is that really work for us. One is to kind of have a loose theme for the week. The other is we just find that a lot of the coaches want to hear from Gallup experts. So we try to weight it more. The first year we did a lot of different kinds of coaches, and it was good. And I think it gave people a sense of, gosh, what are the best practices out there? But we really find that people are really eager to hear from Gallup researchers, Gallup experts like that. So we try to weight it a little bit more with Gallup experts, right? So we're doing it again this year. I want to make sure you know about it. If you're a certified coach, you'll get emails. Our newsletter that just went out, I think a week ago, had information on it. So, and again, the newsletter goes out to certified coaches. There's a theme here: get certified. After you've completed our education, it doesn't cost anything additional to get certified. We really want you to be certified. So this year, the 2018 Learning Series will be January 22nd to 26th. Okay, January 22nd to 26th. The Monday through Friday sessions that are on US time will be from 12 to 1 Eastern. That's 11 to 12 Central. So again, Monday through Friday, January 22nd to 26th, 12 to 1 Eastern, 11 to 12 Central. 11 to 12 Central. The 2 evening sessions, there's one on Monday, the 22nd, and one on Wednesday, the 24th. Those are from 9 to 10 Eastern, 8 to 9 Central. Okay. So just want to make sure you know, and you've got that on your calendar. Our theme for this year is going to be creating strengths-based managers, teams, and organizations. So we're really going to focus on how do you work to help managers be more strengths-based, I help them really to focus around that. How do you work with teams, and practical stuff around how do you make sure that you work with teams so they develop really becoming a strengths-based team, and what it is to become a strengths-based organization. And one of the things I'm going to do, Jim and I just scheduled this, I think in early November, I'm going to do a session. I'm going to do a call to coach session that is literally on creating strengths-based organizations, right? So some of the things around creating a strengths-based organization, I'm going to start to, and hopefully that'll start to be a warm-up for the Gallup Learning Series. So any questions about that for anybody on that?
No, we'll have some more communication coming out about that as we get closer. So.
Yeah. Hey, one of the things, by the way, and Jim, I'm going to put you on the spot in a minute. So sorry, and I may not, we may have a bad answer, but I'm going to put you on the spot anyway. Okay.
I like it.
So one of the things we did is with all this talk about CliftonStrengths feedback sessions last year, I think it was last year in the Gallup Learning Series, we did an entire session on what you should include in a CliftonStrengths feedback session. So that was in last year's session. I did that. I delivered that session, and I feel like I had a couple people with me when I did that. And so, and certified coaches have access to old sessions, or they've had access to old sessions, correct?
Yes.
And
they're in Yammer. Hard to find, but they're in Yammer.
Okay, great. So, and we'll talk about Yammer in a minute, right? But so if for people that are like, hey, you know, like what should be in a CliftonStrengths feedback session, or how should we do this and like that, go back and review that session, because we literally went through everything that have become, as we've done these again for decades, that have become kind of our best practices around what we include in the session, how we do it, like that. That's all included in that session, right? It was I believe, and here's the thing is, I believe it's the 2017, so this year's series that was done in January, okay? So Andrea just asked, was it the 2017? You have access to the last couple years. I believe it was a session we did this year in like January, where it was in the 2017 series, Andrea, okay?
Yep. And if you have trouble finding it, let me know. I can.
Okay.
I'll help track it down. It's available both on YouTube and through Yammer.
Yeah,
and that is I believe you're right, and that's in the 2017 series. Actually, if you just search Yammer for Learning Series, chances are you'll find. Though there's a lot of conversations. You know, this is kind of the problem with community management, is it's stuff all over the place.
No, this stuff, So, one of the things Sarah asked, was there a September issue email, Jim? Last email was 9/11. I think that's the last one. I'll look.
We just published one. There's just a new one. Should have you're talking about email. They're talking about the coaches newsletter. Just came out like a couple days ago.
Okay, great.
Check your spam filters. If it's not there, I'm posting a copy yet today or Monday into the Yammer group, so you have that available there as well. So Debbie, you just posted a link. One of the things, so we use YouTube to show these, and we make them unlisted, so they're available. Those links are available to just certified coaches. So Debbie, actually, by you posting that link, many of the folks that are in here are certified, but that's actually a certified link. So just so folks know, we don't get really crazy about that. If a link gets out like it did just now, where Debbie posted that in the chat room, it's not the end of the world. But we're very clear in Yammer that we're keeping these just so I don't have to put a whole bunch of permissions on them. Like, I don't want to have to create another login for you guys. Like, nobody emails me, Dean, and says, "Could I get another login?"
Yeah.
Is that just so everyone's aware? It's okay, don't worry about it. But that's one of those.
Good.
Yeah. Let me talk about that real quick with Yammer, because
please.
This is all over the place. When we think about our community management and the things that we do, I get feedback from you. You guys have too many groups. You don't have enough. It's too hard to log in. But I want more value. Tell me where things are at, but I want everything available at my fingertips. And it's a really hard problem. And I'm not complaining about that. It's just the challenge we continue to have. Our Yammer community is about 4 years old, and I've managed it almost since day one, since Paul created it, and it has grown fairly sizable. It's a tool that frankly is going away. We don't have a choice on that, and as of October 24th, Yammer will be no more. Dean and I have been working on a replacement tool for that. We're not ready to talk about that yet. It may or may not be ready by the 24th, and so this may go into November. Just as just to warn folks that are out there, if you're in Yammer and there's significant things that you want, one of the limitations, and frankly, one of the good reasons we're moving away, is Yammer had a lot of restrictions on the back end for us. There was just not a lot I could do to help you with a lot of things. And we want to kind of take the platform to the next level, to the next generation of products. And Yammer is not. It is being consumed by Microsoft now. They bought that for a couple $2 billion. And they're consuming it into their Teams environment. Many of you have struggled to log into Yammer because your organization also uses a version of it. And we've had to do a dance around emails and such. And so by moving away from that platform, we will eliminate that problem. Well, one of the other things, when I sent emails out to folks in Yammer, we had hundreds of emails bounce, which just means people had logged into Yammer but never came back and changed their email address. And so we know we have many of our coaches who have forgotten how to get into it or didn't know it existed. So we will be starting over, which I think is a huge advantage to us because we can kind of create that in our own image. Yeah, the community has changed, Dean, in the last 3 years, and we've got some great opportunities. I've gotten lots of great feedback on what you want to see and how you want to see it and what it could look like. I wish I could do it perfectly for everyone, but in a community setting, 70% works out pretty well if we can get 70% on board to make things work. So there'll be some new things. There'll be some hurdles to jump through. We'll work on getting all of you that information just as fast as we can and get you in there. It will be hard in some moments. It will just be difficult, and I'll apologize for that in advance. It always is when you're changing platforms. Things aren't the way they used to be. What's interesting, though, Dean, is I've heard really mostly negative about Yammer over the last couple weeks, and then as soon as I announced it's going away, there was a massive love fest for all of Yammer. And
well, it's in our nature.
It's in the role I have too. So it is.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I want to. So, Jim, I want to address Andrea posted thing. One she said is, Jim, you've been a saint in managing our community group, and really you are. And I know how much you care for and are committed to all of our coaches, and I so appreciate it. I want to make sure you know publicly just how much we appreciate everything you do, and the great quality and commitment that you bring to everything you do is just really extraordinary.
Well, I love my job, Dean, or I wouldn't do it.
I know. Yeah.
Because nobody else would put up with it.
And we all love you. And we all love you. And I love working with you. And I just so appreciate you, And then the other thing Andrea said was, hey, how are we the community bond that Yammer connects? What are we going to do with that in the interim? Hopefully, here's what we're working on, Andrea, just to be clear. As we make this transition, we're trying to make sure there's no gap or as little gap as possible. Right. It's one where we want to make sure we're talking about it enough so people stay close to their email. Okay. So that that we are going to make sure probably in the most likely scenario, people will need to create a new login on a new platform. Right. And we'll say, okay, here's an email. Everybody bust a move and go over to this platform, right? And you'll have to create a login and like that. And we're kind of starting from scratch. We looked, by the way, was there any way to be able to download all the content and all the great things that are in that Yammer platform? We're not able to do that. And so, and we investigated it. We looked at what it was. It literally we're just not able to do that. And so if there is stuff that you want, conversations you want, things that were posted there that you want to download, go get that stuff now, because the thing's going away as of October 24th, right? So it's really important that if there is stuff you want, grab it, okay? So that you've got it there, okay? And then I think there is, as Jim said, we talked about this the other day as we've been going through the conversations of building this. I think there's a cool opportunity here for us to be able to kind of reboot, and it's an opportunity to take our whole community to the next level. I think that's great. I think there's an opportunity for us to have great new conversations about where we are and what we're going for, and I think that's going to be awesome. The other thing that we're doing more broadly is, as we think about our technology platform, I've been spending a lot more of my time thinking about our technology platform and where we're going with digital learning and what we're going to make available in the future, and we're super excited about it. And there's lots more that I think we're going to be able to do. We are super committed to more, just like you, the digital kits, to more digital materials, more digital resources, being able to do virtual classes for coaches, being able to do virtual, to be able to do online delivery of work. So we're really working on this, right? One thing I did want to kind of talk about, Jim, just while we're talking about this is the digital kits. So I want to make sure everybody knows. I feels like we've talked about this a ton, right? But I do want to make sure everybody knows our standard now is the digital kits. So in all the new classes, the coaching classes that we do, what we tell people is we give people the digital kit. And the reason we do that is because we just think it's easier for people than toting the boxes around, right? If you guys have ever noticed in my office, if you look up there, I've got my paper boxes there, and I do love having the paper kit, and I reference it from time to time. But holy cow, that digital kit is just a lot easier. And particularly, when I'm traveling, I'm on airplanes like every week of my life, and when I'm traveling, being able to access that digitally just makes a huge difference. So we've gone to digital kits as a standard for our courses. We also do tell people, if you've got the digital kit and you want the paper kit, that you can get a discount on that. So our standard discount for that for people is, once you've got one format, if you've got it in digital, you can buy the paper kit for $295, right? So so we do offer a discount on that, and for people that have purchased that. And if you want that or are interested in that, let us know, right? But our standard now is those digital kits, and we're going to continue. We're investing a ton to be able to say, how can we continue to offer digital materials? The other thing is if you're interested in purchasing that kind of stuff, right, and knowing, gosh, what are the latest products, do go to shop.gallup.com. So shop.gallup.com is where we post all that stuff. We make all that available. So it's all included there. And so and we sell both digital materials and physical materials through shop.gallup.com. Go check that out if that's of interest to you. Okay.
I would say on the shop, just a tip, very bottom, there's a help button down at the very bottom of the screen. And in fact, on all our screens, on all our websites, if you ever need help, just scroll all the way to the bottom. It says help. It's tiny. I know it's tiny, but it's down there. It's just at the bottom. Click on help. And there is a contact form. If you have questions about bulk purchases, if you have questions about shipping, if you have questions about what's in an item, if you have those questions, send a note over to the shop, and they'll get right back to you. So it's a great way to. That's what I do when you ask me those questions, and so you can just cut out the middle guy and go right. Just trying to save them time, Dean.
Okay, got it. Okay, great. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
You want to talk about real quick? We're running short on time here. Do you want to talk a little bit about advanced? No. Some of the advanced course and some of the additional offerings that are coming up from a training.
Yeah, I think some people had some questions about this. If you came to the summit, you saw this, or if you checked out our summit page, let me just bang through kind of three quick ones. Okay. One is, for many of you, you want to know, okay, what's next in my development, right? We now offer the Advanced Strengths Coaching course. Many of you did it 2 years ago, a year ago, July. We did our first version of that, which was a one-day version. And we ran through a bunch of stuff. We realized, gosh, we just didn't have enough time for it. So we did that a year ago. July was the very first kind of very rudimentary version of it, where we kind of played around with it. We did another 2 sessions at the summit this year, the Advanced Strengths Coaching course. And it's now a 2-day course. There's more materials associated with it. We like that. And we did both of those. We learned a ton from them, from the people that participated. And I actually have revised the course again, right? So now we're offering it in the fall. I think it's US only right now. No. We just did one in London in September, right? So it's a 2-day course. We're revising the course. We're adding more content to the course. It's become a really, really, really cool course. So if you're interested in that, go to courses.gallup.com. Okay. And go to courses.gallup.com. It's I think will be really valuable for you. The course now, it was the 7 developmental milestones. Now it also includes coaching skills, and we're adding some new material to it subsequent to the summit this year. So if you're interested in that, go to courses.gallup.com. That's the place to do that. The other thing for many of you is you're interested in being able to lead CliftonStrengths discovery, right? That's our entry-level education. We did a 3-day train the trainer at the summit. We are now offering that. So if you'd like to, some of you missed it at the summit, and I've gotten some emails or some LinkedIn requests to say, hey, look, are you offering that again? Yes, we are offering it. We offer it, I think, once, relatively speaking, about once a quarter. So go to courses.gallup.com. The CliftonStrengths Discovery Train the Trainer, where you get trained and certified to lead that course, is available there. And so again, it's one that we offer directly. It's also one where we are training coaches to be able to deliver that. If that's something you want to offer as part of what you offer your clients, I get tons and tons of direct questions about how do I offer strengths education to groups or to teams. This is how we do it. We are training you to be able to do it. If you want to do it, that's the way to do it. Okay. Then the last piece around this, I just want to make sure, put a plug in, is we hear every year for the last 2 years at the summit, we hear from people, hey, I need the information much earlier, right? Our summit website is already up and running, right? And in fact, this fall, we're planning this fall to post all the breakout sessions. So if summit registration is open, Jim, what's the website address again?
CliftonStrengthsSummit.com will pass them through from last year's to this year. So just wait a second, it'll pop you into this year. So
Great.
Easiest way to get to it, CliftonStrengthsSummit.com.
Yeah, go there if you're interested.
Pricing is right now till December 6th.
Go get it. If you know you're gonna come next year, go register now so you get the discount, right? So want to make sure that people know that that's up and running. Okay. Last thing I want to say is, look, if you have comments, questions, issues, you are welcome to connect with Jim and I. The number one place is coaching at Gallup.com, right? And we do our best to be responsive around that. But also connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with Jim on LinkedIn. I spend every Saturday morning looking at my LinkedIn messages, right? So I get tons of messages from coaches that way. I love that. That's a great place if you want to connect with me directly, is send me a LinkedIn request. I'd love to connect with you that way. Right. And I get great feedback and I get great questions and like that. I try to answer as many questions as I can and to find also scalable ways to make sure that I'm talking around that. So,
yeah. And if you have questions, don't guess. Just contact us and let us know your questions. We'll get right back to you. Any of those channels. Just let's quiet down on Yammer for now because we're going to move away from that. So let's just kind of.
And listen, let me say one other thing. Okay. So sorry, as long as we're being just super honest here. Listen, we like hard feedback. So don't hesitate if you want to give us hard feedback, right? So, we're as open as we can, and we want the feedback, even if we say, gosh, that's just not something we can do or we will do. We want to hear it, right? And so it's okay to give us hard feedback, right? It won't damage your relationship with us. In a real relationship, people give each other hard feedback. So you're not going to damage your relationship with us if you give us hard feedback. We really want everything you got, right? And we may or may not be able to address it, but we want the feedback. Okay.
Yeah. All good. And I've been getting some feedback on code management too. Jan had sent me an email recently, and we're working on that. It's hard and it's taking some time. That's the other thing, Dean. Sometimes it's a really difficult computer science problem that we've got to work out. Yeah. And sometimes it's just a matter of priorities and some of the things that we're doing. But but let me know. They're hearing, we're getting that feedback in. We always appreciate your feedback. So can't always do stuff about it, but we do appreciate your feedback. Dean, anything else before I wrap it?
No, just I think I don't want to miss the opportunity to say thanks to everybody. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for everything that you do to invest in people and to make sure that we live in a world where right now in our world, there's so much strife. And I think there's never been a time when the world's needed us more, right? And thank you for building a world where people know what's right with them and where they're looking at what's right in other people. There's never been a better time for that. So thank you for all your work in doing that.
You bet. I would agree with that. We'll remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we have available at the Gallup Strength Center. Just GallupStrengthsCenter.com. Send us your questions or comments. Dean mentioned that. A good email address to do it, coaching@gallup.com. You can also catch a recorded audio and video of this program. This is maybe the first one you've listened to. And all of our social resources, including the links to Theme Thursday and our programs like that, they're on our coaches blog. Go to coaching.gallup.com. Don't forget, if you're interested in becoming a Gallup Certified Strengths Coach, you can see a list of all the courses that lead to that on our courses site, courses.gallup.com. By the way, if you haven't figured this out yet, we're moving to a subdomain naming convention. So everything's going to be the site. So courses.gallup, coaching.gallup, shop.gallup. I've had some people say, man, this is confusing. Just forget the gallup.com and just write in where you think you want to go. Super easy to find those locations. And news.gallup.com is a new one. So you want to make sure you use those subdomains, and we've got them available for you. There's links as well on those pages. If you found this helpful, we'd ask that you share it, and want to thank everyone for joining us today. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.